Things have just taken a very interesting turn for the Milwaukee Brewers as a brand new report has just dropped detailing a very interesting picture that the Brewers have made a move for this season, interested in re-signing. We're going to be breaking it down here in this video, going over what this means for not just him, but also the rotation as it currently stands heading into the offseason. A lot of Brewers fans have been talking about this lately on this topic, and we're going to be breaking it down here in this video. Now, before we do jump into this one, though, please do me a favor and hit the sub button if you haven't already, because we got a lot of Brewers news coming, and I want to spread this to every Brewers fan possible to keep you guys up to date with all of your news as it happens. We're also very close to 1K, so if you haven't already done so, be sure to do it. You're going to get all your Brewers news, and you're also doing me a favor by getting us closer to 1K. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to break down here today, so let's get straight into it. And obviously, Jordan Montgomery has kind of been the center of attention around the trade deadline, but has kind of been a bit quiet since that trade had happened. Now, he was recently in Milwaukee and spoke out to the media on a few questions, and when asked about some very interesting stuff, this is some stuff that he had to talk about, saying Montgomery was in Milwaukee this past weekend. Now, this does come from Sports Illustrated, by the way, and spoke to reporters. Among the questions asked to him was whether he would be interested in re-signing with the Brewers at this upcoming offseason in the 2026 season, and made it clear that he is at least interested in the possibility, as transcribed per MLB.com's Rich Rovito. Now, the way that this article from Sports Illustrated has it written out here, to me, seems very different from what Jordan Montgomery said, and I also do have that here, and we're going to jump into a moment. But I want to know in the comments below as well, when you hear this quote from Jordan Montgomery, do you think that he is more excited about this possibility than what Sports Illustrated is making it come out to? Because right now, as Sports Illustrated is saying it, to me, it's kind of being like, hey, yeah, if it's the opportunity's there, I'll do it. But going into what Jordan Montgomery said, this is definitely an interesting one. I'm definitely interested in being a part of this team. They're really good. They're really good with the pitchers, and they're good. They play good defense. What's not to like? Now, Jordan Montgomery, of course, has been out for this season and a bit of last with Tommy John, but will be ready likely to start the next season. Now, going into this, he's still going to be a UFA. He was added into the Shelby Miller trade just to get the money off the books for the Brewers, for the Diamondbacks, and give that to the Brewers. But going into this season and going into, what the plan is going towards the postseason, there is a very interesting kind of situation that we're dealing with on the rotation, and that is with Jose Quintana and Brandon Woodruff. Two are UFAs that we're going to jump into here in a moment, is a big reason as to why the pitching has been such a eye-catching thing here this season for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And going into Jordan Montgomery himself, looking at the past few seasons, and last year at Arizona in 2024, I should say the last season he played, this was not last year, but the last season he played in 2024, went 8-7, 6.23 ERA, really didn't pitch well, but a lot of that was due to the injury that he had nagging and ultimately got him to go to Tommy John. You go before that to 2023 and 2022, played for two different teams, and those, of course, being traded around and moved around there. You go and take a look at his stats, a 3.20 ERA, a 3.48 ERA, and even the year before with the New York Yankees, a 3.83 ERA. He's been a pitcher that has been very consistent over his time, apart from that most recent season, but we know that Tommy John really sets pitchers up right now, at least, for a good comeback. Whether or not they can still throw the same as they could, that is determined by your health coming back, how you actually treat your rehab. But for a pitcher like Jordan Montgomery, who we're going to kind of break down into several different pieces here, a guy that does not really throw very hard anyways to start, has very good chase percentage, and also just a very good player when it comes to being able to make hitters miss, put hitters on their toes, and really confuse the hitter up at the plate. That is Jordan Montgomery's game. He's a very good pitcher by doing that, and when you're coming into it, and a guy who throws, not even a 17% time of his fastball, he is someone that, with some nasty stuff, getting that back, and as long as stuff is still moving there, of course, the velocity doesn't really matter for him. It's more so the break percentage and everything, how stuff is moving. He can still be a very successful pitcher and really just, thrive off this opportunity here with a Brewers team who does very well with their pitchers. Their pitchers, first of all, are also, a plethora of different style. Of course, Jacob Mizorowski can absolutely throw gas. You have some of that. Then you go down to some other pitchers who just have some nasty stuff. They have a combination of just about everything. And putting him in this rotation that we're currently seeing on a bit of a different option and at a cheap price with a market value of 2.6, this seems like a no-brainer, at least for the Brewers, and especially when it comes down to Jose Quintana and Brandon Woodruff, both being UFAs, both being options to also walk, Brandon Woodruff being someone that I think the Brewers are interested in re-signing, with Jose Quintana at this point right now, from what we've been hearing, the least likely of the two. But from Jordan Montgomery, adding him into this rotation right now that consists of Freddy Peralta, Quinn Priester, Jacob Misiorowski, Chad Patrick, Logan Henderson, and Brandon Woodruff, which could go into next season. There is a very interesting spot to add Jordan Montgomery into this, as long as things on the health side work out. And of course, right now we can predict what's going to happen, but that could all change when it does come down to where his rehab currently is and when we're in the offseason and how things go. But the fact that he's now working with the Brewers organization on this rehab, still very good. And the fact that he's come out about this and said, hey, it's a good organization, they're winning, they treat their pitchers well, they have some very good pitchers as well, and the staff is just fantastic. Why not? If it's right there, it's a very good situation. So I want to get your guys' opinion on that as well, because when we go into this Brewers season, of course, going into now at this point with a very much different pitching staff due to injuries, it wouldn't hurt to have Jordan Montgomery here on a roster, which will be, I'd say a little bit different next year, but still at the very competitive level that they currently stand and going into it. But like I said, when you're looking at Jose Quintana and Brandon Woodruff both being free agent, as well as Jordan Montgomery here, Freddy Peralta, he's going to be here. We're going to have Quinn Priester here. We're going to have Jacob Misiorowski here. Logan Henderson, when he comes back, will likely be a starting option next year as well. Jordan Montgomery will be one of the most longest tenured pitchers here, if that is to be the case of what plays out to be. So I think Jordan Montgomery, with the stats I pulled up here as well, and just taking a look at how his ERA has kind of found itself once again in the last few seasons, 22 and 23, with a few different teams there before his Tommy John. So I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you think that we'd find a good spot for Jordan Montgomery here in the rotation heading into next season? Of course, taking a look at it now and kind of putting into terms of at this point in the season, mid-September for this Brewers team who've already clinched the playoff spot, the injuries are a prominent thing. And if they think that they need an extra body on this rotation next year, get as much depth as they can on the starting rotation next year, Jordan Montgomery, someone who's already in-house, someone that they can talk to now about it and get going early, could be a very good option. So let me know what you think in the comments about that. But of course, as we go into the next couple months, we're going to see a lot of movement here on the Brewers side of things, regardless of what happens here in this year's postseason. So I'm going to be breaking it down, of course, over the next couple days and weeks as we get towards the postseason and into the offseason for those of you who are looking for all of that juicy free agency and trade and stuff, when it comes down to that. But like I said, that's all I got here in this one. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button, and don't forget to let me know in the comments below what you think about Jordan Montgomery as a future Brewers pitcher. But that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.